Calculations, Chapter 1. So these are the practice problems on ratios, and I'm going to attempt to go through them. I have not actually sat and gone through these myself, so I don't know whether everything is right or not as I walk through it. So, and maybe I'll edit this later, maybe not, because usually I don't have time to do that. All right, so let's start on this first one. Let's bring up our calculator. Nice scientific calculator. All right. If an insulin injection contains 100 units of insulin in each milliliter, how many milliliters should be injected to receive 40 units of insulin? So then we have X. So then you multiply these two and then divide by that one. So you'd be 40 divided by 100, which would equal 0.4 milliliters. And then I'm just going to circle this in a red box so that people know that's the one. That's right. All right, an injection contains 3 milligrams of medication in each milliliter. If a physician prescribes a dose of half a milligram to be administered to a hospital patient 3 times a day, how many milliliters of an injection will be required over a 5-day period? So let me back up. All right, so 3 milligrams of medication per milliliter. He wants half a milligram 3 times a day. So he wants 1.5 milligrams a day, and then that needs to be multiplied by 5 because it's 5 days, and that will cancel out those. So you end up with 5 times 1.5. Normally I know this off the top of my head, but I'm just tired. It's like, oh, it's midnight. See, and this is why I like doing these videos, is because it's midnight and I can still teach you. All right, so that's the total amount that he wants for 5 days. But we need to have how many milliliters? Okay, so 7.5 milligrams is the same, or is the analogous unit to the 3, and that's 1 milliliter. So, and then we have our X there. Multiply those two, which is 7.5, and then it's divided by 3. So we already have that up there, so just divide by 3. Boom, 2.5 milliliters. And so I'm going to do that in red. And so with these questions, you can always double check it. So, where am I? Okay. So that one is right. Okay. In a clinical study, a drug produced drowsiness in 30 of the 1,500 patient studies. So that's your total. So this is your adverse events. This is your total treated population. Okay? How many patients in a certain pharmacy could expect similar effects based on a patient count of 100? So there's your total treated population, and they want to know what would be the adverse events that would happen. So multiply those two, then divide by 1,500. So 30 times 100 divided by 1,500 equals 2. So 2 people. Now there's another way you could do this to find this, not set it up that way. You just simply take 30 divided by 1,500, which is your percentage, and you find 0.2. Then you multiply it by your total population, which would be 100, which would also be 2. So that's another way you could do that one, to find 2 people. All right, A formula for 1,250 tabs. You'll find out that's the abbreviation, the medical abbreviation. Contain 625 grams of diazepam. I'm trying to remember what's the brand name of diazepam. I cannot remember off the top of my head right now. All right, and how many grams of diazepam should be used in preparing 350 tablets? So, if you go into experimental pharmacy, this is actually something that might actually happen, or if you're doing pediatric pharmacy or veterinary pharmacy. Often you get, my aunt used to do veterinary pharmacy. Often you would get stuff that you have to compound, you have to change. There's compounding pharmacies, which this is all they do all day is figuring out stuff. So you want to multiply these two and then divide. So let's find what that is. So 6.25 times 350. All right, so 2187.5, and then you divide that by 1250. I'm just writing out everything so that you guys can see my thought processes. So 1.75 grams of diazepam is required. So yeah, there is a real life application to that one. That can happen. All right, if 100 caps, which is probably not the medical abbreviation, contain 500 milligrams of an active ingredient, how many milligrams of the ingredient will 48 capsules contain? Okay. So, once again, you can do this two different ways. So you can do 500 divided by 100, which will find you the amount in each single cap, and then you multiply it by 48, which is 240. So 240 milligrams. So that's one way to do that, is to find out each individual one. Or you can do the ratio proportional one, which is you do 500 times 48. Then you find the total amount there, and then you divide by 100, which is 240 again. So there's two different ways to do this one too. All right. Each tablet of Tylenol with codeine contains 30 milligrams of codeine, which I always misspell. I always mix the E and the I together. Phosphate, and 300 milligrams of acetaminophen, which you'll find out that APAP is the abbreviation you'll see all the time for acetaminophen. All right, by taking 2 tabs daily for a week, so I'm writing down kind of the highlights, how many milligrams of each drug would a patient take? So, so they're taking 60 milligrams of codeine and 600 milligrams of APAP every day, and then we have to multiply that by 7. So let's just do 60 first, and that's 420 milligrams that they're taking a week. And then because this is just an extra 0, it's the same thing. We can just, so they're taking that much APAP and that much codeine. Okay. I don't know if I misspelled that or if it's just that it flagged it because it bothers me. A cough syrup contains 10 milligrams of dextromorphan hydrobromide per 5 milliliters. And how many milligrams of the drug are contained in 120 ml container of the syrup. So 120 mLs is the standard, and you're going to get usually, I remember at my pharmacy, we would get the huge 1 liter bottles to half a liter bottles, and then, because I was like the lead intern for a while. Look how that turned out. So they would have me constantly pour in the so you use a graduated cylinder and you pour this stuff out. So sometimes the doctor would give you however much the person was going to take every day and not however many milliliters. So you would just sometimes get like this person has to take 10 milligrams every day, every so many hours, and then you find out, oh, it's 240 120 mLs that they need to get. So that's usually you'll end up with maybe a couple few. Most doctors now, if they are in a specialty, they'll know exactly how much they're going to get their people. So sorry to go off track. So there's 2 different ways you can do this one. Again, pharmacy's so fun. So you can take 10 and divide it by 5, and you find out how many milligrams are per milliliter. So there's 2 milligrams per milliliter. You just multiply that by 120. Or by 20 because you're an idiot. So, don't know how to type. All right, sorry, 240. So we find out that there's 240. So 240 milligrams. The other way you can do it is the ratio proportion way, which Zeke is trying to show you. So you just set it up with 5 ml, and then I put the wrong one. That doesn't go up there. I'm trying to go too fast because I want to get this done. All right, and then you would multiply those two, and then divide by 5. So it would be 10 times 120, and then divide by 5. Boom. You get 240 again. So there are multiple ways to find these sometimes. All right. If an intravenous fluid is adjusted to deliver 15 milligrams of medication to a patient per hour, how many milligrams of medication are delivered per half minute? What? I don't think I've ever seen half minutes in my life. Usually it's per minute. All right. So they want to see 15 milligrams to a patient per hour. So 1 hour. How many milligrams of medication are delivered per half minute? So we have to figure out. So 1 hour is equal to 120 half minutes. The other way I would set this up, just to make this more clear, if I wasn't doing this, if I was like showing somebody I'm supposed to be, I'd set up 50 minutes, and then for every single minute, there are 2 half minutes. That's another way you can do it. I just but half minutes, I usually put these in brackets so that you don't get the designation, which is why I've never seen half minutes, because usually people end up killing each other because in medical errors, because you have extra numbers there that most of the time you don't. So this one, we are not doing the cross multiply. You are just straight up dividing this. So you're doing 15 divided by 120. All right. So 0.125 milligrams of medication. And I'm just going to double check that in the thing. So what the number? Oh, yeah, no. Okay, that was right. Okay, well, I actually did it right. Yeah. So 2 different ways you can set that up, but pretty straightforward for that one too. All right. highlight that in red. I did not highlight that in red. I want to highlight everything in red so I can look at this later and find stuff. This is why you should scan your notes in if you're doing your stuff on a piece of paper. I also found the Sync Boogie Board tablet. You can sync it up and it will record all your stuff, and then you can just save all that. So you wouldn't have to scan in everything. That's my new toy. All right. Sorry. All right. Biotechnology drug filgrastim Neupogen is available for syringes containing 480 micrograms per 0.8 of a milliliter, so 0.8 milliliters. How many micrograms of the drug would be administered by half of a milliliter injection? So this one, that's the way I would set it up, and just multiply those two and divide. For me, my brain seems to say that that's the only way to do it, but I know for a fact that there's another way. But I'm just going to do it this way. Wait, I want to do 480 times half of a milliliter, and then divided by 0.8. So that's 300. Give me a second. It's nearly 12:15 in the morning, and I'm probably going crazy. So let me see if there's another way to figure this out. Because if I think about it, it should be. All right, so that's how much. No, so then. Okay, yes, there is another way. I just did it in my head. So if you just straight up divide 480 divided by 0.8 milliliters, you find 600 micrograms per milliliter. That was milligrams. All right, so that's 1 milliliter, and you have to remember that that's 1 milliliter. Then you multiply it by 0.5 or divide by 2, then you find 300. That's also a way to find it, but because I have to press extra buttons, I think that that's why my brain's lazy. Doesn't want to press buttons. So, next question. All right, a prescription would cost the pharmacist $42 for a bottle of 100 tabs. What would be the cost for 24 tabs? Once again, two ways to do this. The way I would do it in the real world would be to find out the price per pill. So I take 42 divided by 100, boom, 42 cents per pill times 24. It's $10.08. So I don't know why my brain wants to skip zeros today, too. Wait, you're supposed to do this. Don't listen to me, because I'm bad at this. All right, so the way you're supposed to do it is 42 times 24, cross multiply, and then divide by 100. Boom. Same thing. And I misspelled in there. I have to fix this because my brain says I have to fix it. Okay, did I highlight? Yes, I did. Okay. Going this way. All right. How many 0.1 milligram tablets will contain the same amount of drug as 50 tablets that contain 0.25 milligrams of the identical drug? Okay, so this can also actually happen in the real world. Not exactly like this. So you could have, my brain's telling me my instinct is 200 tablets. No, not 200 tablets. 12.5 tablets. Okay. So hypothetically speaking, you can have somebody come in and need a prescription, and they have to have half tablets because, and if they're scored, you can give them this. And I did one thing at like a pharmacy. It was like a pharmacy experiential kind of day, but it wasn't in pharmacy. It was like pre-pharmacy, and I had my PTCB, so they actually let me do stuff. But yeah, we sat there and we just broke tablets all day, and it was because of something like this. Because nursing homes do this a lot. A lot of normal pharmacies will do this, I think, for Medicare, Medicaid patients, but I do not deal with Medicare, Medicaid at all, and I've been finding out that West Virginia does. So that tells you a lot about where I grew up. Bit too much information for me. Okay, so cross multiplying, boom, and shutting up. It's 200. Why did my brain say otherwise? Is it 200? Doesn't say. Okay, brain, something is off. All right. So 50 times 0.25 divided by 0.1. I set that up wrong. Okay. This is not how you're supposed to set it up. All right. That's how it, okay. I'm going to completely erase this. This is not how you're supposed to set it up. Okay. What I did, wait, how many points will contain the same amount of drug? Okay, I think that they want to find out if you hypothetically have 50 tabs, and then you multiply that to find the total amount of milligrams that those 50 tabs have. And they contain 25 milligrams. Okay, so then that is 1.25 milligrams. Okay, and then you divide that by, 1 milligram, which is per tab. So then these get canceled out, and then you find out how many tablets you have. Okay, so this is like per tab as well, and that cancels out those. That's how that works. Okay, so then that is 12.5 tabs. If I understood the way that this question is worded, I may have misinterpreted the question. Maybe it's 200. We'll figure it out in a second. 12 and a half tabs. Okay, so I didn't misinterpret the way that the question was worded. It's just I just accidentally pressed the wrong buttons the first time I was doing it. That's the way I would solve that one. I think my brain's fighting me because it says it wants to do 200. And you can see that my brain's fighting me. And it's late. Okay. That's how I'm going to kill a patient. You just saw it right there. That is how I'm going to kill a patient. So, a suspension contains 200 milligrams of acyclovir in each 5 milliliters. How many milligrams are contained in a pint of the suspension? So, sorry, I didn't mean to whistle through my teeth. Horrifying. So then we want to find out this. So there's two different ways. You can find out how many milligrams per ml and then multiply by the total ml that you want at the end, or you can do the cross multiply ratio. We will do both. So I set it up as a cross multiply ratio, so we're going to multiply those two. So 200 times 473. Boom. Very big, little legible number. And then we find 18,920. 18,920 milligrams in the total thing. When would this be applicable? I should know. Worked in poison control. Kids drink these. They drink the whole thing. You have to know how much they have. So if you ever go into poison control, it's fun. It's fun hearing stuff that happens. I worked there for like a week, and then I was done. I hated it. I hated hearing about weird stuff happening to people. It just makes you cringe. All right, so the second way we're going to do it. So 200 milligrams per 5 ml. So we're going to figure out how many per ml. So 200 divided by 5. So we find out that there's 40 milligrams per 1 milliliter. Then we're just going to multiply it by 473 milliliters. And you have to like have this is that it's like per pint. It's in the back of your head. Should be in the back of your head. That's a pint. Remember, that's a pint because you deal with it. Okay, so we find that is 18,920. Same thing. All right, back. Oh, no, I didn't. Yes, I did. Okay, bye. Sorry, didn't mean to make you sick. All right. There. Perfect. Worst part about me being OCD. All right. All right, a meter dose inhaler contains 225 milligrams of metaproterenol. I think that I probably mispronounced that. Which is sufficient for 100 inhalations. I don't know how to put inhalations. I'm just gonna write that all out because I don't know the how many micrograms would be administered in each inhalation if there are 1,000 micrograms per milligram. Well, you'll know that there's 1,000 micrograms per milligram, so this is like extra information. Okay, so they want to know how many micrograms would be in each inhalation. Okay, so first off, I would take this and change it to micrograms. So I would convert it to micrograms first, even though that'll make this a huge number. I don't know why my head doesn't want to do it. I think that's right. Might be. I'm going to double check just because it's so late. Oh, no, I don't want that. All right. Yes. Okay, so I did that right. I don't want to mislead people. All right, so then that's our micrograms for the whole thing. And then there's 100 inhalations. So we're going to divide by 100. So there is 2,250 micrograms for every one puff or inhalation. Okay. So follow that. You people listening? Yes. Okay. So yeah, this is the problem I have with some of these questions is that sometimes there will be stuff in it that doesn't need to be there. Drives me crazy. Okay. A pediatric drug product contains the equivalent of half of a milligram, which would be 500 micrograms in each milliliter, how many milligrams of fluoride ion would be provided by a dropper that delivers 0.6 milliliters? So I am going to do the cross multiplication way because we divide by 1 and then we get our answer. So there's no real point. So half times 0.6. Boom, 0.3. 0.3 grams. Ding. I don't know why I'm feeling unsure about that one, but I know it's right. Yep. Got it right. All right. Oh, okay. So, if a pediatric vitamin contains, that's not what I want. I do not want red. All right, 1,500 units of vitamin exclamation point, which is probably vitamin A. That's why it took me a second. Per milliliter. And so U would be a big U. Per ml, 1 ml. How many units of vitamin A would be administered if you gave a child 2 drops of the solution from a dropper that calibrated 20 drops per milliliter of solution? Okay, so first off, let me erase this. So we first off have to change that. So we have to do 1 milliliter, 20 drops. That is the medical abbreviation for drops. I do know that one. So we have to find out how many units per drop. So how many units per drop, guys? I just opened up another calculator, didn't I? So 1,500 divided by 20. Find 75. And so you eliminated that. So it is 75 U per drop. And then that's not a 0, that's a U. That is a U. And then they do 2 drops. So then that eliminates that. That is 150 U. Yep. Right. Oh, no. So we are right on that one. Okay. An elixir contains 40 milligrams of drug in each 5 ml. How many milligrams of the drug would be used in preparing 4,000 milliliters of the elixir? So 4 liters. We're making 4 liters of this stuff. When would I ever do this? We had, my pharmacist told me a story that they had, I have never had to do this. So this is just something I've heard on the grapevine, that this has been a thing. Because I asked kind of something similar because I'm a smart ass. That they used to get some guy who prescribed a custom ointment to all of his patients, but then they got guaranteed that all of the patients would come to them. So they would do it every month. They would make like 1,000,000 liters of this hand cream and put it into different tubes and stuff. And she said it was annoying. I made hand cream once and butt paste once. I've never had to actually do it so many times. All right, so it's looking like the one way I did it found 3,200 milligrams. I believe that's right. So I did the cross multiply way. Now let's do the other way, which is we find out how many milligrams per milliliter there is. So you take 40 divided by 5. There's 8 milligrams per milliliter. Then you have 4,000 milliliters. 3,200. All right, so we were able to double check our work and find out that, yes, I did do it correctly, or at least I did it wrong both ways. So where are the answers? Yep, did it wrong. Oh, no, I did it right both ways. All right. All right. And you have to like not look at the next answer. I know it's very, very tempting to do that, but if you don't know how to do this, it's going to kick you in the butt. Ugh. All right, an elixir of ferrous sulfate contains 220 milligrams of ferrous sulfate per 5 mLs. In each milligram, ferrous sulfate contains the equivalent of 0.2 elemental iron. How many milligrams of elemental iron would be represented in each 5 ml of the elixir? So, okay. So I'm setting this up wrong. I just set it up thinking I knew what I was doing. Nope, we're not going that way. We're going a different way. So for 220 milligrams, and then multiply it by 0.2, because milligrams of elemental iron per 1 milligram of ferrous sulfate. So this is elemental iron, and this is ferrous sulfate. So then this would eliminate out the amount of milligrams. So 220 times 0.2, 44. So and then we find out that it's 44 milligrams of elemental iron. All right. And then how many milligrams would we represent in each 5 ml of the elixir? Well, we already know how much is in the 5 ml because we never, change this. So this is the same as that. So it should be 44 in the end. And if I remember correctly, because I looked at the answer, which is looked ahead because I'm in blah. So this one I read earlier, and I have a couple ways that you could go about this one. So you have a patch, estradiol, transformed patch, blah, blah, blah. Patch is closely proportional to the amount of drug contained in each patch. This is an important thing. There are different types of patches. There are some that you can cut and some that you can't. There's some that are like this, and they have nothing in them, and then there's some that have a big, like, blistery thing, and this is like a little wall that keeps the fluid from going through, and it'll just like slowly seep through. Whereas the flat ones, it's just like it slowly seeps through the membrane, and it's just like a gel, and that's it. And it can get cut in any way. But if you cut this one, like, all the stuff spills out, and it's horrifying because you were an idiot and didn't read the packaging. And everybody at the pharmacy laughs at you. And then you get exposed to drug and you feel sick. So this is one of these patches. I'm not speaking from personal experience. No, absolutely not. So we have a patch that's 6.5 centimeters in size, and it contains 0.025 milligrams. I don't know why I wrote that like that. And so we want to calculate the approximate size of one that contains 0.1 milligram of estradiol. So I'm just going to say this right up is that I think that one goes, boop, and pull up the calculator. I should be explaining what I'm doing. Yeah, okay. So this goes into that 4 times. So let me do highlighter so that this is easier to follow what I'm doing. So you find that it goes into it 4 times. So the patch that you need to deliver the 0.1 milligrams of estradiol will need to be 4 times the size of 6.5 centimeters squared. So that times, actually not equal, times 4 I don't know why I'm multiplying in my calculator because I know it off the top of my head. Centimeters squared. Now the real fun part, find out how many centimeters on each side that actually is, which I can't remember how to do it on this calculator. Probably like this, too. Nope, that's not how you do it. This is the way. 26. Yeah, okay, that is how I do it. All right. So if we were in an actual pharmacy and we just had a huge sheet of this stuff, I don't know why, because and we needed to cut it down, I would need to actually find the square root so I could actually find out how much each side was, which is a little bit extra, but that is probably the answer that they wanted us to find. Yeah, so I didn't need to go that far, but in my mind I was going, okay, because I've had to do this before where we had a sheet and had to cut, I think it was like lidocaine patches or something. It was something else. It wasn't estradiol, but it was like I had to cut it this way into fours because if I had cut it, it was like something I had to like cut into thirds or something. It was something very weird, and I had to figure it out by square root how big it would need to be. And then I found out that no, I needed to cut it into thirds so that it was economical and I didn't waste any. Took me like half the afternoon, and like my pharmacist was frustrated at me because I wasn't fast enough with math. All right. Ophthalmic solution. So if you opthal is your eye, if I remember correctly. So an eye solution contains 1 milligram of dexamethasone phosphate in each milliliter of the solution. So first off, methazone, anything that ends with "one," is a steroid. So that usually means that somebody has like inflammation in their eye and that the steroid reduces inflammation. So so sometimes you might see this stuff after surgery because your body wants to inflame it to send white blood cells and stuff. So that's why you would end up maybe doing this. So it's a 1-to-1. So it's 1 milligram. How many milligrams of dexamethasone phosphate would be contained in 2 drops if the eye dropper used 20 drops per milliliter? So we 20 GTT is your medical abbreviation for drops. So we're finding how many milligrams per drop. So we find out that there's 0.5 milligrams per drop. And then, I didn't want to put an equal sign. And then you multiply that by 2 because you're doing 2 drops. So 2, which would be 0.1 milligram per 2 drops. There you go. All right, a 15 ml package of nasal spray delivers 20 sprays per milliliter solution, with each spray containing 1.5 milligrams of drug. So, how many total sprays will the package deliver? Okay, and how many milligrams of drug are contained in the total 15 milliliter package of spray? So, this is useful for 2 different things. You might have somebody who just wants you to give them sprays for, like 2 times a week, or 2 times a day for the next month. Well, that doesn't tell me anything. That tells me they need 60 sprays. Well, is this going to be big enough, or do we have to go up to the 30 ml package? So that's when you would do this kind of calculation. So it delivers 20 sprays per 1 milliliter, and there is 1.5 milligram per 1 spray. So how many total sprays will the package deliver? So we're going to multiply this by 15 because we have 15 mLs. So that will cancel out and we'll find out how many sprays we have. So 15 times 20 is 300. There's 300 sprays. Okay. So that is our part A answer. And then our part B is how many milligrams of drug are contained in the 15 milliliter package. So we know how many sprays now that we have. I just touched with my hand, so my thing's going all kooky. All right, and then so we know how many are there, so we can just do 300 sprays, and then that cancels out, times the 1.5. So that would be, I think, 450 off the top of my head. But I want to double check because I don't want to be, no. 1.5. Yes, 450. Because I am tired and I don't want to give people the wrong answers because I'm tired. So, yep, that is correct. That is correct, Alex. That's from Jeopardy. That's a reference to Jeopardy. If I remember correctly, they do that. Okay, now we're on 21. So we're past the halfway point. We're getting there. All right, penicillin V potassium preparation provides 400,000 units of activity in each 250 milligram tablet. How many total units of activity would a patient receive by taking 4 tablets a day for 10 days? So they're taking 40 tablets total. And then, so how many total? So they don't even care about the milligrams. So they just want to, so then we can just change that to 1 tab. So then we can just multiply that by 40. So I don't know why my equal sign has 3 lines. Because I'm tired. Okay. Yes. Okay. So 16 million. So 16 million units, which I believe I read was right too. Yep. So they received 16 million units. So this is just like a red herring, which is it. When I refer to something as a red herrings are things in mystery novels which are supposed to send you on the wrong path. So that is what a red herring is in a question. That is your red herring, is that 250. All right, so if a 5-gram packet of potassium supplement, potassium is always, you'll see it like that, provides 20 milliequivalents of chloride ion. So there's 20 milliequivalents of, why is that G? That's not G. That's supposed to be a Q. All right, chloride ion. Their first question is, how many grams of powder would provide 6 milliequivalents of potassium ion? Okay. And B, how many milliequivalents of the chloride ion would be provided by this amount of iron or powder? Jeez. Oh my gosh, I can't remember how to do milliequivalents right off the top of my head. I'm gonna actually skip this one. This is the one that I'm gonna actually have to look up and double check how to do. because I don't know how to do this one off the top of my head. So I will come back to that one. I'll put up a later video, probably either later tonight or tomorrow. Oh my gosh, more milliequivalents. But this is a 1-to-1. So this contains 20 milliequivalents of potassium for 15 mLs. How many milliliters will it provide? 25. So this one's just easy cross multiply. I'm pretty sure that last one is really, really stupid, and I just need to come back to it and look at it, but I am intimidated by milliequivalents. I hate milliequivalents. All right, 18.75 milliliters. Oh, let me circle that and double check it. This is why I tell you the professor's the expert. They're supposed to be able to know how to do all this stuff. Okay. I just looked at the answer for this one. It says it's 1.5 grams. So I'll have to look up that because that's not, my brain says that that's not right either, but it says it's right. So, all right, blood serum concentration of the antibacterial ciprofloxacin increases proportionally with the dose administered. The 250 milligram dose of the drug results in a serum concentration 1.2 microgram per drug per milliliter of the serum. Sorry, I'm yawning. How many micrograms of drug would be expected per milliliter of the serum following a 500 milligram dose? Double. You doubled the dose. You get double the amount, right? If it's a proportional increase. Okay, let me just look at this. Where's that? Did it double it? 2.4 ciprofloxacin. Let's look at the question. 1.2, so 2.4 is the double. So it's 250 milligram. I'm doing this in red. That would be 2.4 microgram. I'm going to highlight that because I did it in red, which I don't like doing. There's a way to change the color of the pen, but I don't. Not messing with it now. All right, the dosage of the drug thiabendazole, midazole, is determined to be proportion to the. All right, so if the dose of the drug for the patient weighing 150 pounds is 1.5 grams, that's pounds, and then what would be the dose for a patient 110 pounds? Probably because this is like a 1-to-1, it's probably 1.1 grams. So I'm doing the cross multiply way to do it. 1.5 times 110, and then you divide by 150, 1.1. So, yep, that is correct according to my calculator. Then, where is it? 1.1. All right. Oh my gosh, we're almost done. All right. I think, is there 3 more or just 2 more? I don't know, I'm near the bottom of this. All right, come on. Hold. Go to the right place. No, that. Okay, there. If a half milliliter of a mumps virus vaccine contains 5,000 units of antigen, how many units would be present in each milliliter if the 5 ml of the vaccine was diluted with 2 milliliters with water for injection? Okay, so you figure out how many, so there's this many units for half a milliliter. How many units would be present in each milliliter? Okay, so they're diluting it to 2 milliliters. So they're not adding 2 milliliters, they're just diluting it to 2 milliliters. So you're having the same amount of units, you're just changing this bottom thing to 2. So just change it, so 5,000 units divided by 2 mLs, which would be 2,500 units per every ml. So let's double check to see that's right. Yes, it is. All right, a sample of oriental ginseng contains 0.4 milligrams of active constituents in each 100 milligrams of powdered plant. How many milligrams of active constituents would be present in 15 milligrams of powdered plant? Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So this is why I hate natural medicine. Okay. So in natural medicine, there's usually very, very little active ingredient in everything. But they said that they're looking for the active amount. So like, let's label this active. And this is like total, so that you keep track. So we're gonna cross multiply. So there's actually 2 different ways you can do this. You can find how many active ingredient per 1 milligram and then multiply it by 15, or you can do the cross multiply way. So we're gonna do it first, the cross multiply way. So you find 6 is the ratio by 100, so it's 0.06 milligrams, which how many micrograms would that be? 60. Okay. So that's another clever thing that people do in natural medicines is they'll like put, it has so many micrograms of something. It's like 5,000,000. It's like 3 milligrams. But the other way I would do this is I would find out how many milligrams of active per milligram total. So for every 1. So I would take 0.4 divided by 100, find out that it's 0.0004, and then times that by 15 because we're trying to figure that out. And see, we get the same answer. So same exact way, and I believe this is the last question. So, yep, so that's right. I'm gonna go back up here to 22. For some reason, I cannot. 5 milligram supplement provides 20 milliequivalents of chloride. Grams of powder provides 6 milliequivalents of the potassium ion. Oh my god, why is my brain not wanting to figure this out? I have like literally hit a wall. I know what a milliequivalent is. I just don't want to do it. Wow. I don't think I've ever encountered that in my life where my brain just wants to nope. It's shutting down. Oh, well, it's 1 in the morning. That's why. I will come back to this in the morning. But, everything except for number 22. So, if you have any questions on simple ratios and stuff, I can do that. If it's milliequivalents, maybe not. Sorry. I'll get back to that in a bit. All right, let me find. This is the annoying thing. Stop.